Welcome to the High Value Sales Show of Eversprint.com. I'm Malcolm Louie, the managing member of Eversprint, and today we're speaking with Rudo Robinson, the CEO of Trust Security Services, a provider of security guard, firewatch, video surveillance camera services to clients across the Washington, D.C. metro area and greater Baltimore region. Welcome to the call, Rudo.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Rudo, you grew your company's revenue from $1.3 million in 2014 to $2.4 million in 2017, a 78% increase, and now you're on track to hit around $4 million in 2018. What were the three biggest drivers of your sales growth over the past few years?
I would say the first thing is just quality service, making sure providing men and women in uniform that get the job done. Because at the end of the day, when you're providing security services, if you can't get that part right, then you're wasting your time and no one's getting what they're supposed to get. But the second thing would be the quality assurance that goes behind those officers to make sure that they are doing what they're supposed to do. Everything from using certain technologies that we do to remotely monitor what folks are doing and what our officers are doing, to field supervisors to go out in the field and visibly and physically verify that the job is being done, and even doing some OJT types of things where you're working with the officers in the field to ensure that they clearly understand what the tasks at hand are and that they can learn from our supervisor experience to make sure that the client's getting what they're paying for. And then the third thing would be effective and efficient operations on the back end, making sure that our clients get timely and accurate invoices and that we can handle their business needs in the proper way. A lot of our competitors in many cases focus so much on the security side that they lose sight of some of the basic business things that you need to do. Say what you're going to do and then do it. Make sure that when you bill someone that bill is accurate and that they can predict when it's going to come out. And so that way we make it that we're easier to do business with than a lot of other folks are.
Right. Okay. So to recap, the three biggest drivers of your growth over the past few years, number one, quality service. Number two, quality assurance that your people are doing what they need to do. And number three, just an effective and efficient operations, the back office side of things, the business side of things, the billing, the invoicing, that works well as well. So those are the three most important factors?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, definitely. Okay. Definitely. One feeds another.
Okay. Now, can you go a little bit more about quality service? What is it and how do you measure it and how do you improve it?
Quality services has to do with it starts with making sure that your officers have a clear understanding of what they're doing. So from day one, when they're onboarded, our officers have to complete a training regimen, because in several of the jurisdictions that we function in, particularly Maryland and District of Columbia, there's no training requirement for security officers, particularly unarmed ones. As a result, whenever we hire our officers from day one, they have to complete a training program that we have for them. So we start off with a better officer because our officers are trained and many of our competitors don't do that. Then it has to deal with when an officer gets to their post, there's always a supervisor there. We don't depend on clients to train our officers. We do it. Yeah. So if I have an officer that's assigned to a site and they go to that location, then we have a supervisor there to work with them, go over the post orders and instructions for that site, and give them on-the-job training for that location to make sure they have a clear understanding of what's going on. You do those things, you're starting off with the right thing. It reminds me of a story that, I've been married for 21 years, and I love being married. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. But when years ago, when I went to my dad and I said, yeah, Dad, I think I'm going to marry Jamie, which is my wife. And he goes, yeah, son, he says, well, tell me something. It seems like Jamie's a really nice girl. Your mom and I, we really like her a lot. But I want to know, is there anything about her that you don't like? No, not really. He goes, no, really. Is there anything about her that you don't like? Because whatever she does that you don't like, you need to assume that she's going to do it forever. And if you can accept the fact that she'll do whatever that is forever and be okay with it, then yes, you should marry her. But if you can't, then you shouldn't. I said, really? He's like, yeah. He says, so son, here's what you need to remember. Make sure that you never start off with something that you don't want to end up with. And, well, Obviously, I start off with the right one because I've been married 21 years, but we have that same approach to our business. We don't want to start off with anything we don't want to end up with. So we want to start off with the right officer that has the proper training, both before they get to the site and when they get there, so that way they have a fair opportunity to do the job and exceed that client's expectations of quality assurance. And it works.
Yeah, that's a good strategy. Your dad is very wise.
Yeah, he is. He's
Yeah.
a good guy.
For number 2, quality assurance, making sure that your people are doing what they're supposed to be doing. How do you keep tabs on that? How do you make sure that they are doing that?
Well, it's about setting clear expectations and then inspecting what you expect. The setting of the clear expectations is what happens on the front end as far as training, onboarding, and then training the officers at the site. But then after that, you got to do other things, such as having supervisors come out and periodically check on these officers throughout the day to make sure that they're where they're supposed to be and that they're fulfilling that mission of that particular site. But then in addition to that, we use remote patrol tracking systems, which actually monitor where our officers are going. And we have dispatchers and manager on duties that are actually monitoring the activity of those officers remotely 24 hours a day. In addition to that, our clients can even log in remotely and see where our officers are. So they know they're getting what they're paying for. The officers know that we can see it and that the client's seeing it. So they tend to perform better because they know that you're watching. The bottom line is you can be the most upstanding, honest person in the whole wide world. But people tend to do things that they shouldn't do if they don't think anyone is watching. If they know people are watching, it's a great way to keep the honest. And that's what we do. We hire great people, but we want to keep the honest. And through having those remote patrol tracking systems, having the field supervisors do those periodic steps, in addition to just periodic monitoring as far as the checking with the customer to make sure that they're happy with the service, it all combines to be next level as far as quality assurance is concerned. And there are very few companies out here in our industry that do that as well as we do.
Right. I can see how that would work really well on making sure that the quality is there. For the third driver, efficient back office operations. Can you share a little bit details on how you're able to develop that?
Well, first we've got a very good, our remote tracking system also tracks attendance. So we can actually know that the officers are there when they're supposed to be there. And when they clock in, it uses GPS on the app so that we know that exactly where they are when that happens. So that way we know that clock in is real. We know that clock out is real. But then our admin team actually makes sure that information is processed and verified, converted over to an invoice, and sent out in a timely way. So it's two things, the right technology and competent, capable billing people to get it done. My people my admin staff, they don't make excuses. They make things happen. Awesome. They have a very clear understanding what the expectation is and they do it. And it's very big. There's a lot of companies in our industry that lose customers just because they can't bill right. Right. It's a big deal. I can't tell you the number of times that, I've had accounts that we've even taken over where they'll say, hey, look, you know what? We want to keep the officers that we have, but we just need to replace the company because our bills aren't accurate. Or they tell us that there's people there when they aren't, but we like the guys. And in those cases, sometimes we'll even retain their staff and just implement our systems, as long as their people, of course, go through our training and meet our standards and all that.
Right.
But it's a big difference that a lot of people don't think about.
Yeah, how are the other companies, how do they respond when they say, yeah, we like to hire your security guards from you?
Oh, well, it depends on the circumstance. Now, of course, if there's contractual limitations to prevent that from happening, then it's a different story altogether. But sometimes they don't like it, and sometimes they appreciate it because they don't have any work for their guys. Although I'll say we don't do a lot of retaining existing staff because most of our competitors don't meet our standards.
Right.
So we've had plenty of times we found that companies are providing folks that, like I said, they don't. For instance, in the District of Columbia, you can actually get your unarmed security officer license if you're a felon. You can get your unarmed security license if you have a misdemeanor on your record as well. So we found situations where, let's say, a client wanted us to retain the staff. We run the background on that officer who is a licensed officer that was working there, and we find out the guy has a criminal record, because you can have a criminal record and have your security license in DC. Well, for us, our standard is you can't have any type of criminal record whatsoever and work for us. So we end up blowing out a lot of people. Or we may say, okay, well, if you have existing staff, you still have to go through our training regiment and meet our standards, and they can't pass the training regiment that we have. We should be saying no more than we say yes.
Right.
You show me a company that says yes more than they say no, I share a company that's very low standards and won't provide the kind of service that customers want on a consistent basis. We will never be that. We will always be better.
Now, can you share how you go about finding new clients for your security guard services and camera services?
A lot of different things. I mean, it's the modern age, so of course we do a lot of stuff online. From a SEO perspective and things of that nature. But then a lot of it's also referrals. You do good work, people tend to refer you to other people. So we develop the kind of relationships with our clients where they're happy with our service and they feel comfortable recommending us to other folks. And as a result, it grows. But between doing great work and getting referrals, managing relationship and asking them, do you know anyone else who may need service? Do you know of any other properties that are having problems? Just asking it oftentimes turns into business. They'll say, oh, yeah, I know such and such as XYZ property. They've been looking for a good security company. I'm glad that you mentioned that. Or, oh, well, we got XYZ site that's being built right now. I know, like on the construction end, they say, oh, well, they heard that there's a project coming up and they're about to put copper in the walls. You should call John Doe. That happens a great deal. Between the referrals and then our traditional online marketing, we win. We win. And we close a lot of deals too. When it's one of those deals where when you call us from start to finish, your business is handled in a professional way that they just don't get other places. They just don't get it.
Right.
Everything from like account management is concerned. When you call our office and you need service, you'll initially go to our dispatcher manager on duty. That manager on duty will collect your information and then direct you immediately to the account manager responsible for your area. That account manager is a professional. They know what they're doing. They know how to ask the right questions, but they also understand business.
Right.
Then they assess your needs, send you a proposal, that type of thing, and do this funny thing called follow-up, which a lot of people don't do.
Yes.
Right? But so it just from that whole process, we win. We win, and we answer our phones. I met with a client the other day, like last week, and she told me that she called 5 other companies, and we were the only ones that actually answered the phone. We're the only one. Answered the phone, right? And I'm like, really? She's like, yeah. I was like, oh, great. Well, tell me about your experience. She said, yeah, I called. The account manager wasn't available at the time, so your dispatcher told me that they would call me back in 15 minutes. Your account manager called me back in 10 minutes. It's like, really? She says, yeah. She says, I'm still trying to get a return phone call from her security company that she's currently using that she called last week. So by doing those little things, we win.
Well, those little things go beyond just a dispatch. I remember when you responded to my invitation for the interview. It was like in the evening, like, I don't know, 6:30 or so. And I figured, it's kind of late, but he replied to me, I'm going to call his office and see if he's in there. And I got transferred to you, and you picked up the phone. I was thinking, cool, awesome.
Yeah. We're real big on being responsive. We're real big on, responding to things and checking on things. It's not unusual to get an email from me at 5 a.m. or 4 a.m. There's this funny thing called sleep. I don't know what that is. I've heard about it before, but I don't get much of it. But yeah, if you're responsive, people notice and they appreciate it.
So Rudo, you mentioned a large part of your business is coming from referrals. Can you share what percentage is coming from referrals and what percentage is coming from other sources of your new business?
About a half. I would say half are referrals.
Okay.
We manage that process very aggressively. We're always asking.
Okay. And where for the other half, where's the new business coming from?
I would say probably about 25, it's a 50-50, about 25% is from additional work from existing clients, and the other 25 is more traditional marketing type stuff.
Okay. Can you share how you get more work from existing clients?
Really, it's just about, first and foremost, once again, providing quality service and making sure those clients are aware of all the areas that we service and all the services that we provide. So whenever I meet with our clients, I'll always make sure, because I like to, in addition to our account managers doing it, I also have regular reviews with all of our clients to make sure that we're not missing anything. See, relationships get lost in the gray, right?
Yep.
Security is a black and white business. It's either good or it's bad, but the real world is gray. So what usually happens is relationships get lost because of little things that are problems that the client's not talking about and that you're not asking about. And then next thing you know, they have some other problem and they throw up all over you and tell you about all these things that they never mentioned before because you didn't take the time to talk up to them about it.
Right, exactly.
So my goal is to identify those things when they're gray so that they don't turn black and become a problem.
Right, okay.
That's what we do. But as far as how we get the additional business, once again, when we meet with clients on a regular basis and check with them, we say, hey, by the way, don't forget, we do firewall services if you need them. But
right.
What often or I'll ask, what kind of projects do you have that are upcoming? And they'll say, oh, well, we have such and such and such and such, or we have this YZ property, particularly on the residential community side or the construction side. So what they'll do is they're happy with what you're doing, and then they know that they're starting another project, either construction-wise or it may be a property management company that knows of another one of their sites is having a problem, and then they'll just naturally add us because they're so happy with what we're already doing.
Right. Okay. So, Rudo, can you tell me a bit more about the 25% of new business that's not coming from referrals and not coming from your existing clients?
Mostly, we do a lot of online marketing like SEO, search engine optimization. We do some like Google AdWords type of stuff as well. And then some like traditional things like, ads in different publications and things of that nature.
Okay. Do you do anything like, say, email marketing direct to potential customers?
Not a whole lot. I hate email. I know, my guys are always telling me that I just really don't like email marketing that much. So it's just, now we do send periodic emails to our current clients to give them helpful information, but I'm just not a fan of, buying lists and sending out a bunch of broadcast emails to people because I hate it when I get them. I'm sure it's something we could be doing it, but we're going at such a nice click right now that it's just not necessary.
Right. Okay. You and I connected by email.
I know. I check it, and that's great. I just don't want to be the guy that sends out all these emails saying, hey, you need security services? I don't know.
Right.
And I don't need it. I mean, we're growing at a very nice pace, and we're consistent. And this next year, we're going to grow even more. So I really don't need it.
Okay. Now, are you doing all this in-house, or do you contract out the SEO, the AdWords, the advertisement you're running in different journals?
In-house. Because I do some marketing consulting and business consulting as well myself. And so I just get our team to use the techniques that I've used over the years. When we first started in business 9 years ago, I made a lot of mistakes on the marketing end and hired a bunch of quote unquote experts who weren't so expert in what they were doing.
Right.
So I spent a whole lot of money on things that did not work, to the point where I thought about it and I realized that one of the problems was that I didn't understand enough about marketing, particularly from a web marketing perspective, to do it effectively. So I stopped all my online marketing and I did a whole bunch of research, and I realized that I really enjoyed it and I was good at it.
Awesome.
So then I started implementing some of these basic tactics and even some more advanced ones, and it started working for us. And so we just started doing it in-house. I cross-trained some of our folks on how to do certain things, and it's working. It is working.
Yeah. And the beauty of it, right, is that when it's not working, you can tell quite quickly.
Yes, we can. Yes, we can. But we know it's just like with most things. If you're doing the basic fundamental things right, it works.
Yep.
It's not a miracle. It's not brain surgery. It's very, very basic. Even when it comes to providing security guard services, we don't provide Rhodes Scholars, right? And we don't protect nuclear submarines. Our guys, we do a basic job well.
Yep.
Real simple. That's all we do.
Okay.
It's not a lot of science to it. It's just providing people that, protect people, places, and things our clients care about.
Yep.
Not that complicated.
Yeah. So how many clients did you have, say, back in 2014 when you were at 1.3 million? And how many do you have today, rounding out the year, where you're at about 4 million?
See, the interesting thing is that, like, we have a combination of ongoing and periodic service.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a lot of customers that may only use us for 1 or 2 times due to Firewatch business. Like, for instance, if you've got a building that needs Firewatch because your fire alarm system's malfunctioning.
Okay.
You may have that problem now and then never have it again for 10, 20 years.
Right.
So we don't necessarily track it in the way of number of clients,
okay,
because of the fact that it kind of fluctuates depending on, how much Firewatch we have this month versus next month, which you really can't predict because, either how do you know how many buildings are going to have fire alarm systems that go down this month?
Right.
So we really look at it from an overall volume of business, book of business perspective.
Okay. From a dollar value, when you say
dollar value perspective, yeah, that's how we kind of calculate it.
Okay.
But at any given time, we may have anywhere from 30 to 50 sites that are going on. I know that's a wide range, but yeah, at any given time, though, we may have 30 to 50 different locations being serviced at a time.
How many people will you have at those sites on average?
A lot of our sites, our typical site is a one-person site.
Okay.
Right, so it works out. But there are occasions where we may need to have more people than that, particularly for some of these like events that we may do.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And in those kind of circumstances, then, you may have 5 people, or you may have a large Firewatch for a very large building that may need extra folks. So we'll do those types of things.
Right. Okay.
But most of our sites are one-person places.
Okay. So for 2019, what's the plan? You're at 4 million now by the end of this year. What's your plan for 2019? What target are you looking for?
Well, for 2019, I feel very good about projecting us to be at least 5 million. I think that's a good number. Maybe on the low side. We've got a lot of our clients now that we've got a lot of our current clients that are starting to refer us to even more business because we're doing even better job at communicating what we do.
Okay.
And a lot of our clients, and so our business should be growing along with them.
Okay.
Then in addition to that, there's we're starting to expand our marketing efforts into some of these suburbs. Like, for instance, we're very well optimized in Washington, D.C. We get a lot of volume from Washington, D.C., but we're just now, even though we service a lot of accounts in Virginia, we're just now at the stage we're starting to use our marketing tactics in Virginia more.
Okay.
Just by doing those tactics that we do, we're going to grow our business in that market.
Okay.
For sure.
How will marketing in the suburbs differ from marketing in more of the city environment?
Not much. It doesn't really change that much. Particularly from an online perspective, it's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then from a people-to-people perspective, it's still the same thing. Managing relationships. I like my customers to see me and our people more than they see my competitors.
Right. Exactly. Maintaining the mind share.
Exactly. If we go see a client or we're calling on a client, well, and everyone's a client as far as I'm concerned, they just may not be a client they may not be paying us just yet.
Yep.
So, let's say we've got a property that has a competitor there and we're talking to them and they're happy. Well, we're still going to keep in touch with that client periodically forever,
mm-hmm.
just to make sure that we're ready and they think about us when they're not so happy.
Right. Right.
Believe me, usually, sooner or later, They're going to get to the point where they're not so happy.
Yeah.
All right. Because they're seeing me more than they're seeing their competitors. Most of our competitors have a set it and forget it approach to doing business.
Mm-hmm.
Sign here, whoop-de-doo, congratulations. The officer shows up, and then that officer is showing up all the time, and they never see anybody else.
Right.
For us, if you're our customer, you're going to see us on a regular basis, everything from account managers to supervisors. But even if you're not a customer, you're going to hear from our account managers and myself regularly.
Mm-hmm.
Not every day, but at least once a month or so to say, hey, just wanted to see how things are going. Are you still happy?
Right.
And 6 months of I'm happy can turn into a quick turnaround of we can't stand these guys.
Yeah. All it takes is one screw up, right?
We're ready. So what?
All it takes is one screw up and they're ready to change.
All it takes is one screw up or certain internal changes. Oftentimes it may be, I don't want our clients to love our officers. I want our clients to love our organization.
Right.
The key to doing that is making sure that they see more than our officers. If all they see is our officer, their relationship with that officer. So if that officer leaves, now they're worried and they're not happy because they love that officer.
Yeah.
But if they're seeing that officer and they're seeing our field supervisors and they're hearing from our account managers and they're hearing from me, they have a relationship with our organization that transcends that one officer that's there. So if that officer is not there, that client still feels comfortable because they have the trust to know that we're still handling things, that it's not that big a change, and we're going to provide the right person who's the right fit for that location. It's a big deal, and it's one of the ways that we win.
Yeah, definitely. And the decision makers, right? I mean, I think they appreciate the attention from their peers or from the bosses of their vendors, right? So
they want to know who they're doing. People are doing business. People do business with people.
That's true.
So they need to know the people involved.
Yeah, exactly. For the challenge side of the equation, from getting from 4 million to 5 million, from 4 million this year to 5 million next year, what do you foresee are your challenges?
Making sure that we keep doing what works. Sometimes when you grow, you start to forget about what got you there in the first place.
Yep.
You start to lose sight of things. Just making sure that we're clear on what works, what about us people love, and keep doing those things, and then maintaining culture. When you're growing by, 20%, 30%, those kind of numbers, it can put a strain on your culture. So we have to make sure that people understand that everyone within the organization understands our culture.
Yep.
Right. And also understands our mission. At Trust Security, it's our mission to provide professional, dependable security services on time, every time.
Right.
We expect all of our officers to remember and know that mission. Whenever our supervisors go to sites, one of the first things they ask is, what is the mission?
Yep.
And they all should say, and they all usually do say, to provide professional, dependable security services on time, every time.
Right.
But as you grow, it can be challenging, to keep doing those things, maintain culture, maintain quality. If we do those things consistently, we'll win. If we don't, we won't.
Right. Yeah, other CEOs have expressed similar priorities on the mission and the culture as well as they grow, and seeing that as a challenge, right? Because as you get bigger,
it's a big challenge.
It's harder to keep in touch with all your people, right?
It is.
Now, how about for marketing and sales challenges? What's the biggest challenge on those fronts?
It's interesting. We don't really have any. I don't really have. What we do works so well that we turn down more business than we accept.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly speaking. There's certain, we only want to do certain types of jobs, right? I know it's very important to know who your customer is. It's very important to also understand what type of jobs you want to do and don't do. So for instance, if you want security for, a housing project, a low-income housing project that has a lot of like drug activity and things of that nature, then we're probably not right for you. Grocery stores that get robbed a lot, we're really not right for you. A nightclub type of environment where there's a bunch of alcohol being served and you want us to toss people around, that's not what we do. We don't have officers that fit that mold, nor do we want to. And that's just not our market. For us, what we do is primarily medium to high-end type of environments or the construction. So we're not going to do, your rock, your hip hop or heavy metal concert, but we'll do the conference for your banker association, or we'll do seminars or conferences for pharmaceutical companies. That's the type of clients that we deal with. Or even on like the hotel end, we're not going to be the security that's protecting a hotel that's got, drug dealers and prostitutes walking around and they're renting it out by the hour.
Right. Okay.
But we will do locations like, we do business at the Ritz-Carlton and the Hilton and several Westins. Those are the type of clients that fit the mold that we want. Not to say that there's anything wrong with doing housing projects or any of those types of things. That's just not what we do.
Right.
We don't want to lose sight of what we do for money.
Right. Okay.
So you can have a multi-million-dollar contract. If it doesn't fit within our scope, then we don't do it.
Right. Yeah, and your answer you just gave me right now dovetails really well with my last two questions that I have for you. Who are your ideal clients, and what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Okay. Our ideal clients are businesses or business owners that want polished professional officers to protect the people, places, and things that they care about. In environments where they're concerned about property crime more than violent crime. You're concerned about preventing theft. You're concerned about preventing property crime, vandalism, things of that nature. We're your company, for sure. How to get in touch with us? Well, of course, they can always give us a call at 1-888-241-8183. And then they just press 1, and that'll connect them with our 24/7 manager on duties, who will assist them from there. They can also visit our website, which is protectedbytrust.com, and they can fill out an online quote form, and they can do it that way as well. They can also send us an email, which is at info@tssguard.com. That's info at T as in Tom, S as in Sam, S as in Sam, and then GUARD.com. Pick your way. We answer all the time.
Yeah, and I know that to be true firsthand.
Yeah, 24/7, 365 days a year. Always.
All right, I'm going to send you an email at 2 a.m. and see if you reply.
Yeah, do it. You'll be surprised. You'll be surprised. But fortunately, also, everything's not dependent completely on me. Because if this organization was dependent solely on me for its survival and success, yeah, we wouldn't do too well. Yeah, we'd have problems.
Yeah.
But fortunately, we have the infrastructure in place to be responsive, and then we have leadership in place in addition to myself to make sure that everything's being done. We inspect what we expect and trust but verify everything that happens within our organization.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us today, Rudo, and sharing how you accelerate your company's high-value sales.
Thank you so much. This has been fun. Thanks for the time and attention, sir.
We've been speaking with Rudo Robinson, the CEO of Trust Security Services, about his company's rapid growth. For interviews with other fast-growing, high-value sales companies, or to learn how we can accelerate your firm's high-value sales through automation, visit Eversprint.com.